Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to nowGurukul ServiceNow Virtual Meetup. Another Sunday, another powerful session is going to get started soon, and I welcome you. Hope you had a great first week of New Year and you had a great celebrations and off. I know we all are looking forward to learn as much as we can and perform as much as we can in our certain initiatives, and that's how nowGurukul is just trying to help you to fast track that. So, moving ahead, before we start the meeting, there are a few ground rules. Please try to be on mute if you don't have any questions, and if you can raise hands if you have any questions. And I would encourage you use the chat window to put your questions, and we will take from our keynote speaker at the end if the time limits. Be respectful to each other because that is the core value of our club. We are coming from different communities, different countries, different cultures, so please try to be respectful. It will be great if you can keep your videos on, as I can see Mac out there, he can see me. It will be great to see your faces and let's get to know each other because at the end of the day, networking is one of the core output that we want to achieve out of this meetup. Let's engage and network at the end of the meetup and use chat actively. Before we start today's agenda, we will have a quick Now Gurukul Club introduction, who we are and what we do. And today we have a keynote speaker, Mac Skoddow, who is going to talk about the power of simple IT diagrams in our IT industry. And then we will have a Q&A session. Quickly moving forward, now Gurukul Learners Club framework, we provide you a platform where you can come, you can speak up, you can learn from each other. I with my along my team, we run different initiatives. And I hope if you're in this meeting, you are guys are following us on different social media channels. We are trying to grow as much as we can. It is a non-profitable club, just with the only perspective to do certain activities in order to learn from each other, and there are no boundaries. We are not restricted to any countries. We are global, so if you want to be part of our club, feel free to do that, and together we will do certain cool things in order to excel ourselves in service now. With that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome our keynote speaker for today. Max started his business career in 2001 as a software developer. Not sure he was born or not. I was 6 year old at that point of time. Over the years, he has worked his ways up to become a software architect and later took on roles such as requirements engineer and project manager. He has been part of ServiceNow ecosystem for last 6 years. During he has opportunity to participate in first public ServiceNow certified technical architect class. Mac has proudly served as a ServiceNow MVP for 4 years, consecutive years. I'm still waiting for my first, and is a passionate mentor. And his LinkedIn taglines also says that who has guided mentees around the world. Since August 2025, Mac holds the position of senior manager at Accenture and working as a ServiceNow platform architect. I know Mac doesn't need a formal introduction because most of us follow him on community and LinkedIn and are a fan of his great, awesome post. Thank you, Mac, for accepting this invitation and for being here with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Karan. It's really great to be here. I appreciate your show. I learned something today about your now Gurukul, and yeah, my name is pronounced like the English Mike. I'm
Mac.
I'm often asked, especially by Indian people, how it's pronounced. There's the story that my mama was not allowed to use the English version. It's due to the fact that I was born in the eastern part of Germany. Um, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
basically
Mike.
you said everything about me, so therefore I don't think I need to add something, and I'm looking forward to what we will discuss here.
Yeah. How's the life going ahead, Mike? How was your New Year celebrations?
Yeah, as always, we have our rituals. We follow these rituals as each year, and yeah, some fireworks, some eating, celebrations with the family, the same procedures every year.
That's good to know. So, Mike, like before we start, and I know there is a great learning going to be ahead with you. You started to career in 2001. Okay. I think even if we leave the service now aside, how do you see the IT industry has changed in last, I think, 24 years? And in service now, how was your experience? And I'm asking this question because most of our audience who are starting their career in service now or who are in mid path. So what is your key advice for them, to take care when they're starting their career, especially in ServiceNow or IT?
Mm. Yeah, and it's crazy how the world has changed over the time. When I started, and I really started earlier, my first contact with the computer was when I was 12. And during that time, these computers were large boxes standing in front of you, and the air was smelling like these computers. And nowadays, you have only small devices which look like science fiction movie. And yeah, this is crazy how the world has developed. And I started when the internet was born. So I made my first steps. No one maybe can imagine how it was in the early days of the internet when you only have some really simple pages with some icons you can click on. So, and now what can you do in internet? Everything, nearly everything, and you have the AI stuff. So it's crazy how the world has changed over the time.
That's good to know. So, Mike, for today's discussion, from chaos to clarity, the power of simple diagrams in IT. I'm excited with this tagline and looking forward to learn from you. With that note, Mike, I make you the host out here so that you can share your screen if required. And
Yeah,
audience, if you have any questions for Mike, feel free to ask in the chat window and post his session. We'll try to ask him so that you can get help out of it. Mike, you are the host now. You will be able to share your
yeah,
screen.
I will share my screen soon. Just as a short introduction, now you asked me what topic I want to talk about, and I know that I'm not the first one. You had many great speakers before me, and they were mostly talking about ServiceNow topics, right? So I thought, why should I talk about another ServiceNow topic? And I picked a topic. I think it's a really important one because I met many people joining the IT world, maybe students or any other people who were not able to express complex things. They're just trying to use words. And one crazy situation I experienced recently was when experienced developers started to explain to me the relationships between some tables in the GRC world. No? These tables are really complex, many relationships, and they started to drawing the boxes and the relationships in the air. And I said, "Stop! No, I cannot follow you. Why is it not possible to draw these tables and the arrows between on a simple diagram?" And it's really crazy. I don't know why, but many are not aware of drawing something onto a canvas and to have something in front of you can talk about, not even with your developer colleagues, but also with customers. And I don't want to talk about here today about standards like UML or BPMN or something like this. This is something you can learn. I want to talk about the basics to enable you to start right from the beginning, how to use a diagram program or tool and how to put some boxes onto a canvas and connect these boxes with arrows and what you have to consider because what I also saw and I will provide a really bad example is what you can do wrong with diagramming and confuse the reader of the diagram. So therefore, there are some recommendations I will talk about today. You can make sure that everyone is really understanding what you are drawing.
That sounds
So,
interesting, Mike. Looking forward.
mhm. Okay, then I will share. Um, yeah, first I will enter an URL into the chat. It's about Royal. I think many of you know already this tool. It's free. It's you can use it in the online version without logging in. Um, it's a plugin in many tools like Confluence or Jira. So nearly all the customers in the last years I had contact with are using this in their site. So therefore, it's a cool thing. If you're already using Dryo, you can take the file and upload this on a customer tool, and it's something. It's really working nice. I've been using this since years, and I'm happy with this. And but I use the offline version. On this website, you are able to download the offline version. And this is what I'm using, and I'm going to share my screen. Share. Ah, yeah. Sorry, I'm not using this so often.
There,
Um,
there's a green button in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it.
Thank you.
And I think I start because I don't know what how much time we have. I really start with the example at the beginning, and then I will go into to the details. So I just have to arrange here. Yeah, here. Okay, now. So I start with the so-called system context diagram. This is the most simple diagram, even if this not even this version doesn't look so simple. I will explain this. Um, and it's not part of any standard, so there are no really notation rules. You can use it as you want, and you can use it especially when you have your first customer contact. If you don't know what to do, then draw a system context diagram. And it's really well known even in the real world. You know these detective boards from movies. And in the middle there is something which happened, and then around this centerpiece there are some elements arranged and connected with these strings here. So this is also a kind of context diagram you are familiar with, and basically this is a version of a context diagram. This is what I'm using in my trainings for ongoing architects to explain what is the role of an architect, and why is this role so special? Because you as an architect, you are in the center of a project and you are communicating with all the stakeholder groups. So, and that's it. This is a system context diagram. You have something in the middle, and you have some stakeholder or elements arranged around this center, and these elements are connected with arrows. This is the diagram. And transferred to ServiceNow, you can do the same. You can also put ServiceNow into the middle and arrange some elements. And this is what I really can recommend. If you have no idea how to start, um, independent of your writing a proposal in any bidding process, or you are in a customer meeting face to face, and you go to the flip chart and want to draw something, just put ServiceNow into the middle, if you have a ServiceNow project. And then start to think about which stakeholder groups, the largest stakeholder groups are involved in these projects, and then place them on one side, and which systems maybe are connected or have to be connected with ServiceNow, any third-party providers, any integrations with whatever. There are many of them, and then place them on the right side. I say left and right because this is how I usually do this. On the left side are the users, and on the right side are the systems. Oops, I don't know. Somebody drawing here this red line here, or was I the
Mm,
person who do?
somebody is doing that. I sincerely request, please don't do that. Let me
Yeah,
try
or
to
maybe
fix it.
you can disable this feature for the users. I don't know.
Yeah, let me try, Mac.
Yeah,
Please
it's
move forward.
interesting feature. Wasn't aware of this. This Zoom is able to do this. Um, yeah, and I wrote down some benefits and criteria for such a system context diagram. So it's easy to understand. No? If you do this, everyone will understand what you wanted to express here in this diagram. Therefore, no, this is called system context diagram. You can Google for this. You will find many pages in the internet which explain to you this. Um, so the main key takeaway for today, start using system context diagram. And if you are familiar with this, then I think you will start or continue with other high level diagrams. So before I continue, I cannot give you a full overview of this diagramming tool, but just some basics, because independent of how this tool is called, they follow the same principles. In the middle, you have a canvas, and on this canvas, you can place some elements, and these elements are often to be found on the left side. And these elements are often organized in so-called palettes, and they are grouped here on the left side, and you can add more shapes. And if you do this, you see most of them are not enabled, and they are grouped by any technical headlines or business headlines, for example, like um, yeah, business, Archimate, BPMN, what I already have included. So if you need some more elements, you can check here what you will find there. This is some libraries under the world of Azure and so on. And then you are just dragging and drop these elements on your canvas, or you can also click on this, something like this. You place this here, you can move it around. And if you click on one of these elements, you will also see on the right side how to configure, how to modify these elements. Here in Draw.io, you have these three tabs, style, text, and arrange. I recommend to make familiar with this just to try out, play with these options here. What I am using often is this style, and then here you have some pre-configured stylings. I like these stylings, and then you click on this, and then you have some coloring with some pre-configured options here. And you can also organize your diagrams in tabs. This is what you see at the bottom here. This is similar to what you have in Excel. Add some pages here, and then they are selectable here on the bottom. And what I also like is organizing my contents in layers. Um, this is what you get if you go to View and then Layers. And then you have this small dialog here. I always move it to the lower right corner. And we will see what I mean with layers later in the following pages. So basically that's it. Um, yeah, these lines here are really disturbing here. My screen they will
Mike, can
not
you try
disappear.
to reshare your screen? Maybe this will go away. You can stop your
Okay,
screen
I will
and
stop
try to
and share
reshare.
again. Yeah. Let me do this again. Let me first share again this page. As
It's
I
coming
mentioned,
fine. It's coming fine now. Yeah.
yeah, I'm now here in the online version. Yeah, okay, I've chosen here the dark style because I like this. It's pre-configured here. But basically, it looks the same. No? On the left side, you have all the elements. In the middle, the canvas. On the right side, the configuring options. Here, it's in German. Um, the online version is maybe a bit different because it's the latest version, whereas the download version might not have all the special options. But at the end, 99% should be similar. So I will go back um, to this one. And here you now see the layers. You can disable the layers with this eye icon. And if you click on of this eye icon, you can enable this layer. So I've placed as a preparation to the session here some pages, and on each page for a certain topic, I also added some layers just to have this um, just to simulate what you have in PowerPoint in the presentation. If you click something and some elements are appearing, because you don't want to have everything right from the beginning, just to um, give the option to talk about and then to enable more elements. And this is what you can do here with the layers. So, and the basics for a diagram, or let's say a diagram consists of some basic elements. No, these elements make a diagram. So you have this group of nodes. This can be any element, any geometric figures, or any icons, whatever. No, this is what we call a node. And these nodes are then connected with connectors. Of course, it can be any arrows, but it can also be this weird looking connector here in the middle with some strange looking ends. And you also have so-called annotations, any text labels you can place anywhere right beside, as I did this here for certain element, but it can also be some longer text, and here then you have this bracket you can connect on the left here with any element, and here you can place some more text. This is called annotation. And as a last group of elements, you have some groupings and boundaries because you want to make sure that you group some elements. You will see this later, what I mean. At the end, it's also some boxes and or rectangles without any fillings. These are the groupings. So to explain my recommendations or to give you an idea why I'm providing these recommendations, I want to give you a bad example because this is what I often saw in the past when let's say unexperienced users start drawing some diagrams. They put some elements on the canvas, arrange these, but they don't think about how the reader of this diagram is really interpreting this. You have an idea and a concept in mind, but this doesn't need to match what the reader of this diagram will understand. And therefore, I start with let's say, bad example I found in an article in the internet. It doesn't matter that you can read the labels here. It's a bit blurry, I know. I just want to place it here and so you have a chance to try to understand. And I'm always confused when I see this. Even after reading the article, I was not able to understand this diagram because due to many things I will talk about. My first feeling when I see these diagrams, I always get dizzy in my brain. I'm not able to follow the arrows due to the intersections. I'm not able to understand groupings because they nearly look similar, like the elements in the middle, and I'm not able to understand why some groupings are dashed and or some arrows are dashed. It was not explained. There's no legend here which could explain to me how I have to interpret these diagrams. And just keep this bad example in mind. And then we will come to my first suggestion for today. The first suggestion is to think about the right zoom level. And here, to make you understand what I'm talking about, think about Google Maps. In Google Maps, you can zoom in and zoom out. And dependent of your zoom level, you see more details or less details. So here we have a really high flight height, and we see the whole continent of India. And if we zoom in, then you will see more details, streets, lakes, and so on, pins. So these grade of details is appearing only if you have reached a certain zoom level. You will never come to the idea, or you will never expect that on the left side, all the streets of a street are sketched, right? And this is the same you have to think about when you are drawing a diagram. You cannot put everything into one diagram. You have to decide for a flight height and then to decide what details you will leave out. Otherwise, you will confuse the reader because his brain is overwhelmed by all the details. Let's say here you have a box service now. This is a flight height. This is a kind of zoom level. This is a box service now, and there are so many details you could diagram here. And the bad example is something like this. This is a diagram given by a famous ServiceNow employee, and he have chosen this detail level or this number of details because he was not able to find a better way. But now, um, if you zoom out, then you cannot recognize anything anymore because the labels are too small, too many boxes, too many colors. Your brain is overwhelmed here this way. So therefore, always find the right level of details. So anyone else has started writing on my screen? It's funny. Let's continue. Second, second suggestions is know your audience. There's a difference whether you draw a diagram for your developer colleagues or for your customer, right? Because a customer has no idea about notations like UML. So therefore, if you need to diagram something in UML, like this so-called deployment diagram here, this is one of the diagram types we have in the UML. Think about whether the recipient of this diagram is really able to understand, really capable of understanding this diagram, and then decide for a more simple version. You could also draw this diagram in a better way for unskilled recipients this way. It's the same diagram with three boxes connected with any connectors, but with less details and without this technical representation of components and blocks and so on, and also here these interfaces. It's not important maybe for the customer. He only needs to understand we have three modules which are connected anyhow. Therefore, think about the audience. Um, Third suggestion, I will enlarge a bit. Um, Coming back to the bed example, it's really hard to understand here because the element types we can place or we have in a diagram are really not distinguished here in a good optical way. And therefore try to distinguish the element types in a good way. We have node styles. And of course we can continue here with just a simple black and white box. But I prefer coloring. If you see my diagrams, unfortunately, I lost all my high sophisticated diagrams when changing the company last year. I forgot to take these, but um, therefore I cannot show you so many examples. But if you would come across my diagrams, also my articles, you will see that I prefer coloring these boxes, these nodes, and this is what I'm using. Uh, in most of the cases, I use this green style for ServiceNow related elements and other colors for maybe external systems. And I think this is more readable, such a box. And what is the reason why it's more readable? I've decided for rounded corners because this is more, um, the brain will like more these rounded corners than these edges here. It corresponds what the nature is giving us. In the nature, nearly everything is rounded, so therefore it's more readable. And I also have chosen or have decided to enlarge the border line uh, size to 2 pixels. And I always make the text within the box bold to distinguish the labels of connectors we will see now. So connector styles, I mean, I'm referring here to the arrows. And now the diagram becomes more yeah, complicated, or it's more difficult to understand this diagram because node styles and connector styles are the same. 1 pixel lines, 1 pixel black lines, and this is hard to understand. And now you see the difference, the same diagram. I already applied connector styles, and now there is a difference. I really can distinguish between the elements and the connectors. And the reason for this, I have chosen that the text remains in the normal font way and it's a bit smaller. And I also don't overlap the texts. So I always place the labels outside. Here you see that the text is placed right on the connector. It's to my mind, it's not so readable, so therefore I always try to place the labels outside of the connector. And also here I've chosen rounded corners. Everything here you can see can be configured on the right side. No? For example, here these rounded um, lines. This is what you can find here in the style tab, and here rounded. If I do sharp, now you see the connectors have edges, and if I go back to rounded, then you see it's applied right away, the style. And the last one. Grouping styles, the most important part, I think. So basically, you really want to group your elements. This is also what we saw here in this bad examples, these outer rounded corners with the label like agent layer. And no, it was this one. But now it becomes difficult if you don't distinguish or if you don't style your orchestration layer or your grouping layer in a different way. It's really hard to differentiate between the nodes in the middle and the grouping in the background. So, and therefore, I hope that this version looks better to you or for you. Um, you can again also apply these styles here from this options you have here, or you can find your own style. Um, I like this gradient style, but this is my opinion. You can choose whatever you want. And the reason why this is more readable, no, it was here. So I have disabled the borderline. That way, these crossing arrow or connector lines will not conflict with the background layer. So it's better to understand what is crossing, what is inside and outside the layer. Yeah, and of course, I said I use or I like this gradient filling and with neutral colors for groupings. I'm using often grade color schemes. So the next suggestion is prevent connector intersections. So we saw this here in a bad example. Here in the middle, there are some intersections. And it's really hard to follow these arrows, because your eye is following the connectors. And here in this intersection, you have to decide where to follow. No? And do you go to the left, to the right? It's really not clear, and I'm always confused if I see this. And so I have. Let me share again my screen because it's really irritating here. So I stop sharing the screen and hope no one else will draw on my screen again. So give me some seconds. Share, share. No. Okay. I have to place this here on the top. I cannot move this. Okay. So the intersection here. So the question is, if you only use one color for these connectors, you have no idea um, how they are related to each other. I think most of you will think the situation is like this one here. Two connectors are drawn this way. But what if the author had another intention, with this version here? So therefore, it's really unclear how to interpret these intersections. And in not only in this tool, also in other tools like Visio, there is this option of so-called jump lines. So if you really come into the situation that you have to model intersections because it's not possible to rearrange the elements in a different way, you can use jump lines, and this can be found here in the middle. If you click on one line and the style tab, then you can say um, arc. Basically, there should be an arc version. Yeah, now you see exactly the right situation, which line is overlapping the other line. So this is what I can recommend to use jump lines if there's no other option. Um, but often it's possible to rearrange your elements and to prevent these intersections. Basically, I can spend hours only to rearrange all elements just to prevent one intersection. So I like diagramming, and so therefore it's a fun activity for me. So you see this small diagram, and this can be rearranged without losing the message. via rearranging the boxes. And you see, even if it seems to be look different, but if you follow the arrows and you will see it's really the same diagram just by moving the boxes around. I think it's more understandable this way. And the next suggestion I have for you is don't overlaying connectors. Um, sorry, that example. I think it was also here in this diagram. No, it wasn't. You see this often that this situation here, one node has more than one outgoing arrows. And here in this part, they are overlaying each other. Um, the other way around is two outbound connectors have, or let's say on one node, there are two inbound connectors and they are also overlaying here. And only one arrow can be seen here for two inbound connectors. And the third situation, this this style when we have an arrow in two directions. And yeah, this is what I meant. These three critical situations here. And I always would try to remodel this way to find or to model or to really to distinguish and to separate the errors so that they are not overlaying anymore. So therefore, to my mind, it's better, it's more clear how these errors and nodes, how these errors are connecting the nodes with each other. And also this bidirectional arrow, I always try to remodel this with two arrows because this is more clear. There's one arrow in two direction and then arrow comes back. Now, this could be a flow, a kind of process flow. Now imagine this situation. Oops, let me go back. This situation here in the middle. How is the flow going on? In which direction? It's not clear. And the last suggestion I have for today, yeah, always provide a legend. Um, this is, let's say, in 9 out of 10 diagrams I see, they are not provided with any legend. And the first thing I always ask before somebody starts presenting a diagram is, sorry to ask you, but where's the legend? How can I interpret these arrows on these boxes? Because there are so many different um, versions for boxes and interpretations. For example, is it a transition? A transition, if we use connectors for a transition, we mean, for example, a process flow. We have one activity, and after this activity is finished, it continues with the next activity. So these arrows is representing an activity. Sorry, a transition, and these nodes are representing activities. We also can have relationships. This is a relationship from the real world, but you also know relationships from, for example, the CMDB in ServiceNow. And a relationship is something different than a transition, right? Here, uh, this box, I think is clear what these boxes are representing. We also could have data flows. Some objects are flowing, some data are flowing from one system to another. Even here, the interpretation is completely different. And if you don't explain what this error represents, you might you might go into the wrong direction. And another option is a kind of annotation, relation, or context. This one here is what I used in our context diagram. These kind of relations or annotations. Here, it doesn't matter what this arrow is really representing or is following any standardized notation or concept. Just by labeling these arrows is clear what we mean. A user is requesting something in the system, or ServiceNow has to authenticate the user in any external system. So therefore, these arrows and boxes can also represent some um, context-related topics. So therefore, um, always provide a legend. Just draw another rectangle in the lower right corner, or better is it in the upper right corner, because we always start reading a document or a diagram from the upper left corner and continue to the lower right corner. So therefore, place this here, either here or here. It depends on it. Then describe your your arrows. Just place this arrow into the box and then describe what it means. So everyone now is able to understand your diagram without asking any questions. So this was pretty fast. My suggestions for drawing diagrams. And here we don't talk about UML or BPMN. No, it's just about how to make sure that the recipient of the diagram is able to understand this diagram in a better way, and you can really help the reader of this diagram to understand by following these suggestions here. So I will stop sharing just to see you, Gagan, and also the audience, and maybe we can talk about the questions which might have arisen during my
Yes, Mike.
explanations.
Yeah, thank you so much. The first thing I want to say that you looks like a pro in this. I can see you're using it from years. I'm also used to use this, but I was not sure it has so many features of layers and connectors and all that stuff, right? So thank you so much for explaining that. A few questions here in the chat, and I will summarize for you. The
Hmm.
first question is that one person asked, I am a 3 years of experience guy. Is it really relevant to me? Right? I know the answer, but I think you can break that ice. It is not only for the architect, so it is not bounded to any
Yeah.
experience. Over to you, Mac. On this.
So you know that I'm also a mentor, and I started this year with this top Mate IO platform, just to have a platform where this mentoring can be organized in a better way, by someone else. And interesting enough, I often hear this question, especially from people from the India side of the planet. What can I do to level up? What is the journey to continue from a developer to an architect, or to a lead developer, and so on? What trainings do I need to participate or take, or what skills do I need? And I always answer that you don't need to take the latest ServiceNow trainings to level up and to reach the next level of a career path. What you need are some basic skills. For example, communication skills, presenting skills, but also these diagramming skills. You have to explain complex things to an audience which are not able to understand what is a UI policy, what is a module in ServiceNow, and so on. So you have to translate, and this is what makes a skilled and professional um, employee, or let's say user in this world, to transfer complex topics into a more simple way. And here you have to simplify complex things, and the way to transfer complex issues, or not issues, complex topics, is translating them into diagrams. So, and whenever you talk to a customer, or let's say to a business analyst, it doesn't matter if you have some discussions and you have the feeling that you are talking about different concepts. There's a kind of gut feeling. You might ask, are you really talking about the same concept, let's say, of an application? What is an application? It's a really overloaded world, and a word in the IT world. So then let's open a diagramming tool. It can also be a Microsoft Whiteboard or PowerPoint, whatever you have. There's always something on your notebook you can use, and start drawing this. Put a rectangle, place any label in, like application, and then think about what can you connect and how can you connect. And this will make something in your brain. It will train your brain to transfer, to simplify something. But I also experienced that this will make something in hard discussions. Let's assume And I know that many of you have not this opportunity to travel to the customer side and to sit in the same room on different sides of the table and discuss something. Um, Fortunately, I often had this situation, especially before the pandemic. It was usual to travel to the customer, and then what I always did is stand up, go to the flip chart, and start diagram something, even if I was not asked for. And you cannot imagine how this situation is changing in a room. Everyone is now stopping, arguing, and debating, and is looking at you, né? Because you stand in front of the audience, and you are now the leader of this discussion. And what I also experienced, then the customer got nervous, and he also wanted to explain something he had in mind but couldn't express in words. So he also stood up and was joining me on the flip chart, and took the pencil and also started striking through something, maybe adding something. And then you have a discussion right side by side on the same level, no, from human to human. And this changes everything if you have hard discussions. This is another reason why I like diagramming. You can do the same in a virtual meeting. Open a tool and then say stop. Let's stop here and let's try to visualize the this situation we have here, or this whatever you are talking about. You can visualize nearly everything. So therefore,
Yes.
start
Yeah.
doing this, learn this, and you will see that you will change the people, you will change the situations, and you will evolve and level up.
Yeah. I think the audience resonate with you on that. There is a quote in the chat window: "Diagram is better than thousand words," and Ujjwal also agrees with it. So we totally believe in that. So Mike, there is a one thing, the new generation is kind of want to use AI more than doing the hard work. So there is a
Mhm.
question that if there is any option to put an AI prompt out there and which gives you basic flow in this.
Of course, I think the nowadays the AI tools we have on our fingertips are elaborated enough to start these exercises. I did this and I was disappointed because um, an AI cannot read thoughts. An AI is far away from simulating a human brain. Um, AI will always draw you a diagram based on the trained input it got for building up this LLM. So, but um, building diagrams is something which is a kind of, how to say this, art, um, I'm missing the right word. It's something an AI cannot do because an AI is not creative. No, it's a creative activity. And there's a different, you saw in all my examples, for example, rearranging the boxes. The AI doesn't care about how these boxes are arranged. It will not understand how to arrange them, that you are able to understand and to read this better. And it will also not understand your context you are in, whether you're talking to a CIO or to a developer. No, this is something the AI will not understand, and it will also not color these boxes and arrows for you or place the labels or in a way that you can read it better. So therefore, this diagramming is a skill which will remain many years and will makes you stand out. And if you learn this, and if you are a good diagrammer, if you are able to translate different topics into it in easy diagrams, then you will be the expert and the lighting house who is shining.
Yes, just like you are shining, keeping us along with your way on the right service now path. Mike, maybe in the interest of time, as we have few minutes left, if there is any question, audience, you can put in the chat window. Otherwise, I will ask, go ahead and I will ask mine. So, Mike, I am following you from a long time over the community, LinkedIn. All know, everybody knows what great work you do, right? One thing I wanted to ask always is that your content is a bit different always, right? It is not just like today's session, right? That
Mhm.
everybody is speaking about maybe GRC or SecOps or AI or platform governance. and you come up with the the power of simple designs. The same thing we are able to see in the community articles also, in your answers also, right? So what is that mindset we need to bring in order to get on the same path? Because it is not like that we are impressed with you, we want to learn from you, and we also want to think in that manner, you know not a conventional thinking. We want to
Hmm.
go out of the way. So how does you work it out, basically?
This is a good question. It's difficult to answer because it's related to my individual history, right from the beginning when I was a child growing up and so on. And due to reasons I cannot explain here, I always wanted to be different. Um, I didn't want to do what everyone else is doing, wherever, whenever, at school, at university, and so on. So I always tried to find or to be different than everyone else, because only the people who are different and are separated from all the other ones are seen, or let's say are seen earlier or better. So if you stand out and keep separated, then you have the chance maybe to level up and to become something you want to achieve better than if you are only one amongst of thousands of people. So therefore, find a way how to differentiate, find a niche, and continue on this. This is my recommendation, and that's the reason, no, why you. By the way, you are the first one who is stating this, so congratulations. It's really impressive that someone recognizes this. Yeah, this is my philosophy in my life, no, to be different.
Thanks, Mac. I think being different works, in such a large population, of course. So, Mac, people are thanking you a lot in the chat window. And I agree with one of the comment where they're saying they always used to use only Microsoft PowerPoint in order to make such diagrams. And,
Mhm.
now they're aware of this tool. And of course, it's a long journey. They need to go out there and do an hands-on and practice and evolve, right? In the interest of time, last question from my side, Mike, for the audience. What is your advice seeing the ServiceNow future in the upcoming 2, 3, 4 years where everybody
Mhm.
is running behind the AI? And I think somewhere people are forgetting the basics out there. So what is your advice in how to manage that chaos to get more
Mhm.
clarity?
Yeah. So we cannot hide from AI, right? So and we have to use it, and I'm using it all the day. It's my discussion partner nowadays. Whenever I have a question, I don't start Googling this anymore, crawling through thousands of community answers, hoping this was the right answer. So I'm asking not only one AI tool like Perplexity, but also the same question I put in and to another AI tools in parallel just to compare the answers and then following the links and so on. And I'm also challenging my thoughts, my ideas, and ask. So I'm really doing this. It's great. It's helpful. Um, but AI tools will not replace developers. Now, if this is something, and I heard this question often, if this is something you want to ask me, um, I think it will not, or let's say not for all of us. If you want to remain, if you want to survive this hard challenge when AI is claiming more and more activities and domains, you should stand out. Ne? For example, with diagramming, as I explained, AI will not be able to create good diagrams. And there are also other basic skills you need to have, like communication, the capability to transfer complex things in simple words and target this to the right audience. AI will also not make decisions for us. It can give a recommendation, but it will never make a decision in the next years, because then we talk about lives of humans. No? And do we really want to an AI to decide over something which is basically related to any human life? So therefore, making decisions and defend these decisions and also to explain these decisions is a capability you need to learn if you want to survive this challenge. What else? Yeah, presenting. You always have to present something. Even for example, before the project starts, you have a proposal phase where you have to present your solution design to the customer, so that you win the project, and you need to present anything. And also within the project, you have to present something to your developers, to your manager, to your customer. Presenting is something you do all the day, even if you don't recognize this as a kind of presenting, but you always present yourself in front of audience. No, if you're on a virtual meeting, the cameras are enabled, you present yourself, and this is something you need to, you need to like. Whenever somebody's disabling his camera, then I know he's not liking to present himself. So and I forces always my colleagues to enable the camera. There's no reason why it shouldn't.
Agree.
Let's say, except from technical reasons. I know I've worked with Indian colleagues for many years, and I know that there are often some internet issues. And then I say, okay, due to the lacking bandwidth, disable your camera. We can continue without any interruption. So this is okay. Yeah, fundamental skills will remain and will make you stand out, independent of the technology. Yeah.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Mike, for sharing such a great knowledge and taking your precious time out. When I was planning to reach out to you over LinkedIn, I was a bit anxious that will you accept my invitation or not. But it shows that how grounded you are when it comes to sharing knowledge with the audience. There are hundreds of people who are going to watch this offline as well over the YouTube and different channels. So thank you so much, Mike, for your time. And from India, we wish you the best health and happiness of this world and hope 2026 is going to be great for you. And we'll keep reading your post over LinkedIn and community, and we'll keep learning from that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have to thank to be here. I always like joining people like you and having these discussions. So therefore, no need for being anxious about asking me. So I like this. And for the audience here, as I mentioned in between, I am also now on topmate.io. Unfortunately, I only have
Yeah.
one slot. This is what I can provide you at the moment. And yeah, therefore, it might be booked out, but check again from time to time, and if you find an open slot, then claim this, and we can continue any discussions you have about ServiceNow, your career, or whatever. I will be happy to meet you.
Yeah. I'm going to book my one soon. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, if you found this session good, do go on the LinkedIn, tag Mike and me, and share your thoughts and experience. We'll keep meeting from the next week onwards, and we'll keep learning together. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much, everybody. I wish you the great week and the great year ahead. We'll be in touch. Keep learning. Let's rock. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Mike.